You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
This is episode 753 of the Dressage Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. This is Reese Koffler-Stanfield in Georgetown, Kentucky.
And I am Megan McIsaac from Oregon, Wisconsin, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show. On today's show, we have Sydney Collier sharing her memoir, Beyond Expectations. We also have Kristen Brett, who is the director of the dressage programs at the USEF, and Alicia Berger, who competed at the North American Young Rider Championships, Aachen, and the Festival of Champions, shares her experience and her wonderful year with us.
Well, hi, Megan. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
I love it.
It's cooler.
Oh my gosh. I think everyone, I'm still dehydrated from last week. It was so hot. And I mean, I think everywhere, like, I'm not sure about the West Coast, but I know the whole East Coast was like hundreds.
They were 3 digits.
It was crazy. Yeah. I was like, at one point I was like, is my truck broken? It says 109. Like, I mean, it was so hot. And we had the American Eventing Championships. Shout out to all my eventing people. It was so hot here. I felt for them. I felt for them. It was brutal. It was brutal. And all I can say is I have to shout out to all my people that rode. We had a great championship. I had 3 of my students win national championships.
Woo-hoo!
Like, it's so exciting. Again, I have 1/3 a part of what happens in that championship, but it was really, really exciting. And shout out to Janie. She won the novice for the 3rd time. That was really, really exciting. But I will say, like, one of the things we talked about that week is it was weird here. We actually kind of had a week of beautiful, kind of cooler weather. And then this like heat dome descended upon us. But we talked a lot about, and I think you're probably here with your students too and yourself, like, we have been training all summer for these championships. So we had the American Eventing Championship here, and then we have this week off, and next week are the regional championships here in Lexington. So I have a lot of people doing championships in the next couple of weeks. And I will say, like, I'm so proud of all of them. And I feel like every single one of the people that are going are super prepared. You know what I mean? Like, I feel very happy with all of their preparation. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talk a lot about on the show, like, how do you prepare for these events and what do you do? And I was just as kind of a reminder of what we do is sort of always work backwards. Like, if you want to go to the regionals or the American Eventing Championships, you really have to, and that's in August and September or October, whenever you're going, you have to sit with your coach and really work backwards. So all my students, we really had I think a really great planning year, and I'm so proud of them because every single one of them, we really kind of checked all the boxes. And a couple of them, we had some like stumbling blocks. Like, one of my wonderful listeners, I won't tell her name, but she's listening. She listens to the show. She had some real trouble memorizing the test. Like, we got her qualified, and that was great. She like qualified in the first show. We were really excited. It's her first year sort of switching to dressage, and shout out to her because she's listening. And then we got her qualified with a reader. And then next show we said, I said, hey, come on, let's ride without a reader. And then we learned, actually, she had some trouble memorizing the test. She had 2 tests, 2 different horses. And we had to take a deep breath, and we actually laughed a little bit. It was kind of like, okay, all right. So the summer has changed, and we have really tested her memory in the sense of she's met me at other farms, and we have warmed up and ridden the test in a different arena.
Smart.
And we have worked really hard on that memory. So she will get it next week. I know she will. No, she won't. We laugh, and it'll be fine. We'll have a drink, and it's no big deal. It's an older horse, but it's her first time showing that level. And it was really how her brain was functioning. And I think there's some level of, as a coach, like, that stuff comes up, and you have to take a deep breath, and you have to really think about okay, this is it presented itself. It's different. So we did a bunch of schooling shows. We did a bunch of that. We have some smaller recognized shows, and she was able to kind of work through it this summer. And now as she goes forward in her dressage career, we will know that and we'll know kind of the steps. So I think that was part of the prep. And yeah, I'm just super excited. We have like a Wizard of Oz theme. So I'm not going to lie. I maybe have gotten a little crazy on there's a stall decorating contest, Megan. So
That's the
ready.
best part.
I'm
I
ready.
love the stall decorating.
I'm ready. And my ladies are like already talking about the menu of the charcuterie board. And if anybody knows me, like this is my dream. This is my dream. This is it. So
I wish I was going to region 2.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well, we will meet up at finals, everybody.
Yes.
Don't worry. We will have a meetup at finals. Everybody can meet Megan. Yes. We're really excited.
Yes.
So next week on our show at the end of the month, I'll be able to kind of report because you don't go to regionals right till October. You're a little bit later.
October, we're going to St. Louis. I can't wait.
I know. It's going to be so fun. So you guys have a little bit more time. Ours is like here. So in some ways it's nice to kind of, okay, let's rock and roll. And then hopefully all the horses make it to Kentucky in November, but if they don't, it's okay. We'll do some different things, but no, it's been a good season and it's been fun. And I think it's, if regionals comes to your area, so it comes to Lexington, I think every 3 years. And so every 3 years I get super busy and I think it's great. Everybody who's like, yeah, I think I want to try to go to regionals. This is the year to do it. And we don't always as a group, like we have a party in the trailer in area of the horse show. Like if there's ever screaming at the Kentucky shows, it's probably my group. We're having a rip roaring time over there.
Coming over.
Yeah, come over. But we don't get to stable, because everyone lives here. But at regionals, you actually have to stable. So yeah, we're going to have quite a good time, quite a party. And it's going to be like a 4-day party. So I'm excited. And Baby Horse is going to go.
Yeah.
I'll send some pictures. Mary Rose is going to ride him a little bit around. We're going to wet saddle pat him. So he gets to see the horse park, and then mama will hopefully ride. Mommy's really busy paying for my baby horse. So hopefully mommy can ride, but I'm really excited. My baby horse gets to go to the horse park and so it should be really fun. I'm excited. So that's kind of what we have going on. We had AC's week of break this week and then back at it next week. So, and then I think, I don't know. I may disappear for a week. I don't know. What happened to Reese? She's somewhere.
She's gone. She's on an island.
My husband and my groom know where I am. Other than that, no one knows.
I think that's a good idea. You should totally do that. I won't have that until November.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, no, I think if your trainer does need a day off, leave him alone. This is to all my trainers out there. Keep your chins up. This is a hard time of the year. This is like our Super Bowl. Everybody needs something. You and I, Megan, are pretty used to it. But if you're young and this is your first couple seasons as a trainer, you're probably, it's a lot. I'm not going to lie. I maybe stole away and got a pedicure last night. It's my favorite.
Oh,
yeah. Turned my phone off. I don't know. I took a book in there. It's not about horses. And I just read my book and it was great. So I do try to do some self-care as the time is going, but this is busy time. So I love it. And can't wait for next week. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be awesome. They're going to rock, Reese.
We're going to rock. It's going to be so fun. And we are going to have a wonderful show today. I'm thrilled. We've actually already done the interview. So we're thrilled and it's going to be great. So we're going to come back with a wonderful interview with Cindy Collier talking about her book of Beyond Expectations. But we also want to give a shout out to our dressage team. What I understand, Megan, is that the first round has happened at the Para Games, and we just have to shout out to Becca Hart. She was on a couple weeks ago, and she's like truly my hero. Like every time I hear her speak, she is truly inspirational, and she won the gold medal yesterday in the grade 3, which is amazing. I watched her ceremony this morning and cried. Like I'm literally in my tack room crying and just just goosebumps of seeing her finally get her moment and finally win. That was absolutely amazing. Fiona Howard also won the gold in the grade 2, which was amazing. Roxanne Trussell, she is truly, truly amazing. She won the silver medal with, which is also amazing. She's one of our truly, truly amazing athletes. And today, Kate Schumacher was 5th with Vivian, which was amazing. So we wish them, they all qualified now for the freestyle.
Yep.
Our show will go live and we won't have the results of that, but we are wishing them all luck. And I think you'll also get some amazing just feeling from Sydney Collier. She rode in Rio in the Olympic Games for para, and she's truly an amazing person. So we hope you enjoy her interview. Well, tonight it is truly an honor to have Sydney Collier. She was the youngest competitor at the 2014 World Equestrian Games in France. At age 18, she won the 2016 U.S. Para Dressage National Champion and became the youngest athlete in the 2016 Equestrian Paralympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. She also was awarded the FEI Against All Odds Award and the USEF Junior Equestrian of the Year and the Captain Andrews Memorial Sportsman Trophy. We are so thrilled to have you, Sydney. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to speak with you.
It is such an honor to have you. And Megan and I have had the pleasure of reading your book, Beyond Expectations. And so we feel like we know you a little bit after reading the book. But can you tell us a little bit about your story, and especially as you got started as a young equestrian in the sport?
Absolutely. Oh, man. Well, first off, thank you so much for reading Beyond Expectations. And I really hope that you loved it.
Loved it.
It was a true labor of love. And I just feel so humbled to have the opportunity to put my story out there. And as a first time author, man, it just really, it feels so huge officially having a published book out there in the world.
That is
right?
huge.
It's huge.
Huge.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's something that I had always, toyed around with, and then just meeting Heather, my co-author, it was kind of serendipity brought us together and put all the pieces together and we kind of made it happen, right? Like,
amazing.
It happened in such a cool way. So, about me.
Yes.
I'm a lifelong equestrian. I started riding actually at the exact same age that I was first diagnosed. Before riding, I tried literally every single sport known to mankind, but nothing clicked. Nothing spoke to my heart, right? And then just totally by chance one day, I said to my mom, you know what? I think I would like to give riding lessons a try. And I swear that it was the moment she had been waiting for all her life, right? Because what felt like the next day, I was signed up for riding lessons, and from the minute that I first sat on my first pony, I really knew, man, this is what clicks. This is what I'm meant to do with my life. Mm-hmm. And needless to say, I never set my goals low.
No, you don't, girl.
From the moment I first started riding, I told my mom and dad, one day I'm going to represent the USA in the sport of eventing. Yep. And what's really cool about my family is that they never made me feel like it was crazy. They always made me feel like, you know what? If you work hard enough, anything is possible. And I definitely attribute my current attitude and my having achieved the goals that I have to them not making me feel like I was crazy, setting such gigantic goals, right? Mm-hmm. So life ended up having other plans for me outside of eventing, my very first love. And I was diagnosed with incredibly rare and very life-threatening congenital birth defect known as Wyburn-Mason syndrome, which less than 1,000 people on Earth actually have diagnosed. Our surge for treatment led us to Stanford Medical Center in California, and ultimately my first brain surgery when I was 11, which would lead to me having my first stroke at the age of 11.
Wow.
Something that I never thought that I would be faced with, obviously. So I woke up in this body that no longer felt like my own, right? And all I could think was, man, I want to get back to being able to ride. I want to get back to riding. That's all that kept me going forward. And it really is what propelled me to being able to relearn how to walk. I don't know where I would be without the horses, which then led me back to riding after that stroke. And I told my parents, okay, let's tone it back to just show jumping, because that's way safer than eventing, right?
Yep.
I mean, at least the jumps collapse when you hit them, right?
Right.
You're a brave girl.
You're a brave girl. Sydney, can you tell us, because I was at the WAG in 2010, and that story really hit me hard, because I was there when you were having this experience. I was there with some friends. And so tell us a little bit about your story of learning about para dressage.
Yeah, so coming off of that stroke, I had a very challenging time basically reassimilating to life. I lost a lot of friends. I was feeling so much pushback from life and from my sport in general. Like I went back to show jumping and I ended up breaking my good leg. Nothing was clicking the way that it used to, right? And it was really, really frustrating me. And then just totally by chance, I ended up getting the opportunity to watch the World Equestrian Games happening for the very first time.
Yes.
With the inclusion of para dressage. And getting to go there and sit in the stands that day, I had something like basically an epiphany. I noticed that day, like, that basically anything was possible. I noticed, man, if these athletes out there can achieve these goals and can represent the USA on the world stage, then that means that I don't have to give up on my huge goal representing the USA on the world stage just because I've had a stroke. It means that I can continue pushing forward and striving for these goals, no matter what has happened to me. That was the first day that I would say I really started to gain more of an acceptance for my new body, because I found out, like, there are other people out there like me achieving these big things. And for me, with my story, that's the point that I really want to drive across, is this is why representation matters so much. This is why opportunities like the Paralympics matter so much, so that people like me and kids growing up like me can see other people that represent who they are out there achieving these big things, and they can see themselves in these athletes and in these people, and they all of a sudden don't feel so alone. They all of a sudden get that empowered feeling and notice, man, anything really is possible if you work hard enough, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I totally agree, Sydney. I am an able-bodied rider. However, I had a herniated disc 2 years ago and I couldn't feel my left leg. And after reading your memoir, I took away that I could be doing a lot more. And not only do you inspire people like yourself, you also inspired myself. So I just want to say thank you. And also, what is your most memorable moment competing?
thank you so much for that. For one, that means everything to me. I really strive to push past this concept of inspiration and change it to motivation, right? Because motivation has so much more action to it than inspiration. My most memorable moments when it comes to competing, I have to rewind almost all the way back to when I first started competing in para dressage. I got my start catch riding at these big international competitions.
Wow.
At the age of what? It would have been, man, math is not mathing right now in my head, right?
11, 12?
It would have been 12 or 13.
Wow.
But so I got my start catch riding at these competitions. And that would entail that I would borrow a horse and I would go into the show ring with these horses with altogether about 3 hours total training on them.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have to say that my experience as a catch rider really set me up to be the adaptable, very, I guess, intuitive rider that I am to this day. And let me tell you, it was definitely not always rainbows and bonbons, right? Like it was, there were definitely some moments that could make anyone question what are you doing, right?
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Yes.
But for me, I always just loved riding so much that like for example, at my very first international freestyle, I got bucked off.
Oh.
But yeah, like it was certainly not the freestyle debut I had ever imagined.
No.
But in the end, I wasn't crying because I got bucked off after that. I was crying because I didn't get to finish the freestyle, right? And I think that says a lot about, like, to me, it's the moments that could be defined as negative, and how you reframe them is positive. Those to me are the most memorable moments of this entire journey. And just getting to work with such talented horses on a daily basis, like, man, I feel so lucky and just blown away. Like I know for a fact that that 7-year-old Sid would have seen this as possible, but would be so proud of where I am now, right? And that's
for sure
what makes it all worth it.
Absolutely.
Making 7-year-old me happy and proud of what we're accomplishing.
Absolutely. Well, Sydney, we've been talking about your book, and I wanted to let everybody know, like, how do they find it online? And if they have any questions for you, how can they find you online to talk about whatever they need to?
Beyond Expectations is available directly through Trafalgar Square Books online, as well as Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It actually was just released on ebook, so that's very exciting. To follow along on my journey, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Sid's Paraquest.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight. This has been such a fun experience, and reading your book was amazing. And we can't wait to continue to follow your journey.
Thank you so much for having me. And thanks again for reading my book and finding some motivation out of it. I so appreciate it.
Well, that was an amazing interview with Sydney. Thank you so much. And I hope everyone got amazing feels, and she's so inspirational. And we're going to have a commercial break with Kentucky Performance Products and come back with Kristen Brett, who is the USEF Director of Dressage Programs.
This Nutrition Minute is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, the company that simplifies your search for research-proven nutritional supplements at kppusa.com.
The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Electrolytes. Who needs them? Your horse, that's who. Electrolytes perform critical functions within your horse's body. They help regulate nerve and muscle functions by carrying electrical impulses between cells. In addition, electrolytes assist the body in maintaining a healthy fluid balance by controlling your horse's desire to drink. When your horse loses significant amounts of electrolytes and fluids, problems such as dehydration, muscle cramping, fatigue, tying up, and colic may occur. Even in mild forms, these conditions can have a negative impact on your horse's ability to perform and recover after exercise. Top riders and veterinarians turn to Summer Games Electrolyte to keep their horse healthy in hot weather, and you can too. Summer Games replenishes the electrolytes and trace minerals lost when your horse sweats, and it stimulates the thirst response so your horse continues to drink and stay properly hydrated. So when the going gets hot, trust Summer Games Electrolyte from Kentucky Performance Products to protect your horse.
This Nutritional Minute has been brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products. You can find all of their terrific products at kppusa.com.
Well, tonight I am so excited to have Kristen Brett. She is the USEF Director of Dressage Programs. She is also the lady that makes Festival of Champions happen. Kristen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is very fun.
I know we have talked about this for years. We'll say it. Chris and I are good friends out of the office. And so we do normal things, like go to the farmer's market and that kind of stuff. And I was teasing her this weekend. I'm like, I need to have you on the show. And then I called her that night and I was like, can you come on the show? So we're so happy to have you.
Here we are. Yeah. Yeah.
I know you.
No, I'm very lucky to have Reese in my corner, because not only is she a great resources for because I'm not a dressage person from my background. So sometimes I have to pick Reese's brain to really try to understand some of the ins and outs of some of the rule changes and why they're so important. But I also utilize Reese too I have a 6-year-old, so she comes and helps with him a little bit when we
so cool. I know. So Kristen is all around horsewoman. So Kristen, I was going to ask you, tell us a little bit about your background, because you have a very horsey background. Yes. Yeah.
So I grew up in the hunter jumper world, did all the equitation, the jumper stuff, did a little bit of young riders, did some of the modified jumpers, reached at least the 1.45 meters.
Great.
And then, life started, I had to get a real job and all the things. So
working on that.
Yeah,
so yeah,
exactly. And life I ended up in Lexington, Kentucky in 2008, working for USEF in the regulation department. And then in 2013, moved to the sports department. Hallie Griffin was the director of national dressage at that time and was her assistant, and then moved into the director of dressage programs role. I can't remember when that happened. It just kind of all of a sudden happened.
Congratulations. You
Thank
are now.
God.
Yeah.
We are so lucky that you did that. And you were in endurance for a while too, right?
Yes. So I was also, not only working in dressage, but also doing endurance for a few years too. Yeah. So all kinds of things. And now I have a little 6-year-old that does eventing. So I am, the poster child for multidisciplinary work.
You are actually.
Awesome.
That's So you literally just got home from Festival of Champions. So let's start on a high level for everyone who maybe has heard of Festival. What is it? And how would one even get there? Like, it's a huge deal.
Yeah. So we are actually in the qualifying period now for 2025. And it is the national championships for 17 divisions. We are actually adding the intermediate 1 for para dressage next year, which is why we're now increasing to 17. We're very excited about that. So we have the Grand Prix, intermediate 1, Brentina Cup for the U25, Young Rider, Junior, Pony, Children. We have the 2 dressage seat medal finals, and then we have the young horse, developing horse, and the 2 para dressage national championships, all happening within 7 days.
Yeah.
So,
I need a breath now. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's all of it.
And you organize all of it.
Yeah, it starts. There's a whole group of us, but I'm the team leader for it. So, it takes a village, as everything does.
Yeah.
But it starts even for 2025. I usually work about 2 years out from the event. That starts with looking at the qualifying requirements, talking to our coaches about some of the things that I'm getting feedback on and how we can tweak some of the qualifying requirements, because we try really hard to make sure that the qualifying requirements, the application, the rules, the language, and how it's all implemented kind of all match and make sense to everyone. So I try to, so in the last year, working up to 2025, I take a lot of the things that I hear and the questions that I get from parents, owners, trainers, the athletes, and where we can tweak the qualifying requirements, where it makes sense. An example with that, for a couple of years in a row, I was getting a lot of questions, just the term qualifying score. We had that in the qualifying requirements for a number of years, but all of a sudden I was getting questions on, does that mean that my score won't go on the ranking list if it doesn't match what the overall average is for that particular championship? So then we tweaked to the qualifying requirements to remove qualifying score to just say score earned towards the ranking list. Little things like that make a big difference.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, and it's confusing. So those ranking lists, maybe explain those, because I don't know how you keep those straight. Seriously, like, that's intense.
Yeah, that's pretty much a full-time job from January to May, really.
Yeah.
So each of the championships, excluding the dressage seat medal finals, they all have their own ranking list. We have certain qualifying competitions that you can go to at the national level. Competitions apply to the dressage department to host the qualifying classes during the qualifying period. So there's a calendar for that, and it is sorted by region, but you're not required to compete within your region. And then we also have the CDIs too, where you can earn scores. So when you do earn a score, it goes up on the ranking list, and then that ranking list, is constantly calculating the overall average. Mm-hmm. And then it's what helps determine the invitation list and the alternates for those invitations at the end of the qualifying period.
Yeah. Deep breath on that. It's intense.
Wow.
Like, it's crazy. And what riders and horses are going, right? Because they have to declare by a certain time. That's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the application for 2025 opens on December 1st. So that's really the first step in making sure that you can get an invitation to festivals, not only getting those scores, but if you don't get that application in, I can't remember right now off the top of my head when the application is due, but it'll be mid-June. So if you don't have that application in by that deadline, it's not going to matter whether you have scores on the ranking list or not. So that's really the most important piece, really, right there. I always tell, especially the parents, really, to make sure you get that application in.
Yeah, that's really sad when someone doesn't. And there's nothing you can do after that deadline. Good luck. Like you can. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a good point. That's exactly right. Yeah, because we do have it in the qualifying requirements that applications can't be added after the deadline. So that's it. The only reason why there might be someone who could be added is that because if there was a glitch on our ends with the applications, but that otherwise, once it closes, it's everybody who doesn't have an application in gets pulled off the ranking list.
Right.
So
that's
a big difference.
Yeah, that's a sad day. Somebody always forgets, and you feel for them because you're like, it's just the paperwork, but you have to do it. And then, so once you declare, till that June deadline, what happens after that? Because that's when it's kind of exciting, right?
Yeah. So really, I always, the ranking list for all of the divisions, that maybe except for the young horses, or you can kind of tell by that point who's really going to be in that top group to get the automatic invitation. The last couple of weeks for the young horses change a lot because a lot of the young horses, they really, rightfully so, just because of where they are in their development, they may not start competing till, mid-June, July. But yeah, that's when it gets really exciting. And I really get a lot of emails from, the athletes, the owners, the parents, just asking like, is it okay if we start making plans? Are we going to be in the top group? And it's, I can kind of tell where, okay, you're in the top 5. It's not going to change, or you're just outside of the maximum, number of entries that we're allowed, but you'll be probably an alternate. So if somebody in that first group declines their invitation, then you will be, as an alternate, you'll get one. So yeah, it does get very exciting.
Yeah. And then once everybody gets their invitations, then everybody sees all the fun stuff that comes out of Lamplight. So can you tell us a little bit about the venue and how that works? Because it's very, very electric.
Yeah. So we're lucky that we get to work with HITS. They're based out of Socrates, but they, I want to say in 2019, purchased Lamplight Equestrian Center. We've built a really good relationship with them and have just really been able to, I think, elevate the look of festival with their help. We try to do a lot of things with the young horse and developing horse ring to really kind of spruce it up. But we also take into consideration that, our baby horses see everything, and then, we have the Grand Prix ring where you have the Grand Prix through the pony riders competing in. And that's the ring where you'll see, if you're watching the live stream, with the flags are all around it. And there's bunting. It's a little bit more, there's a lot more atmosphere there, simply because those horses and ponies are a bit more, they've been competing a bit longer. So that's some of it, they may look at it, but in the end, it's, always good to have that kind of atmosphere for them.
Yeah, but we all ride down that center line. That's a wonderful ring to be in. That's really cool. Yeah. You feel like you're in a national championship there. It's pretty cool.
I hope so. I think next year I'm really excited because I've already thinking about making changes to how that ring is decorated. So I think. Yeah. So, we're going into a new quad towards LA. So I think, it's time that we make some changes. So I'm excited about that too.
Woo!
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool environment too for all the riders, because just the way Lamplight is sort of set up, it kind of brings everyone, the VIP tables are around, but there's also plenty of seating where you can just sort of sit and watch either ring. And I mean, it's usually under shade, and you can really just kind of be a part of the whole event. And it's phenomenal. If you don't ride, I really recommend going, because there's so much to see all the time.
Yeah. We try to really, using, for lack of a better word, festival, we try to make it a party.
Yeah.
We should be there to celebrate even just getting there. So I think, like you just said, Reese, you can watch both rings. You can go back and forth very easily. We've got the vendors. We've got a great group of vendors that come over here. We have a youth pizza party that's sponsored by Discover Dressage. We have a big competitors party every year. The last couple of years, we've brought in the Kona shaved ice truck.
Yeah.
we try to, and we also have a welcome reception on Sunday before festival really gets going. And so we really try to do a lot of things to get, everybody just, together and celebrating, just being there.
Yeah, it is a party. It's such a cool environment. It really is.
That's an amazing event. Yeah, you do such an amazing job. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And so, Kristen, if you were someone that were saying, okay, 2025, I really want to make this happen, what is your best advice kind of start to finish that you would give riders?
The best advice I can always tell everyone is the memos with the preliminary information is out now. So read through those. We have the qualifying requirements are going through their review and approval process. So we hope we'll have those up before Thanksgiving. But really the two biggest things I can tell you is, first of all, read the qualifying requirements even before you come to me with questions, because 9 times out of 10, your question is probably answered just by reading the qualifying requirements. And then you can always get a hold of me very easily. My email is festival@usef.org. And, that's another way to always get information. And I'm always happy to get on the phone with anyone to talk through them. There's actually a lot of athletes I have that, especially early on in the qualifying during the winter season, I talk to them once a week. And then later on, it'll be maybe once a month. Like, they're always checking in just to make sure they've got all their ducks in a row and if there's anything else missing. So I'm always happy to do that as well. But really, for whether it's festival, you're trying to go to the Olympics, trying to go to Europe, trying to go to World Cup, it's always, we can't stress enough the importance of just reading the qualifying requirements for any of those competitions, because that's going to be your lifeline for sure.
Yeah. And everybody should read it. The coach, the riders, anybody that's got a hand on that horse should probably take a read of that, because it's there, that information is there. And unfortunately, if it's there and you don't get it and you don't ask, then there's nothing you can do about it. You try to, but.
Oh, 100%. I know some of the parents are always, I'm so sorry for asking questions. And my response is, ask the questions. I'd rather you ask than not.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I love it. Well, Kristen, you are amazing. And you really are like the manager of all things, like chaos. I don't know how you do it. It's amazing to watch you do it. And one more time, if someone's interested, has questions, how do they get a hold of you?
The easiest way, because it's my email, it's festival@usef.org.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for all you do for our sport.
As horse owners, we spend a lot of time on the road. Let US Rider help keep you covered. Our equestrian motor plan offers fast, reliable, nationwide service from our highly trained roadside assistance team. 24/7 coverage for both you and your horse. Membership includes horse trailer servicing, towing, flat tire repair, even on dual wheels, battery assistance, and lockout service on any vehicle in your plan. We also have your equine companions covered with referrals for emergency vet services, farrier referrals, and emergency stabling assistance. Get peace of mind on the road for you and your horse. Join US Rider today.
Well, tonight I am so excited to introduce you to one of my old friends, Alicia Berger. She is a young rider and has had such an amazing season. Alicia, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you because I've known you for several years, and you were on my young rider team when I was chef to keep, and I've got to know you and your family, and you were just wonderful. So I've been a huge fan. So I want you to introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, my name is Alicia Berger. I'm 20 years old. I was lucky enough this year to be on the U.S. Young Rider European team, as well as I got to go to Aachen, and I also got to be on our NAYC team and go to Festival of Champions. I've been doing dressage for 6 or 7 years now. My partner, Aquamarine, has been new to me as of last October, and we just have gotten to have such a magical season this year.
You have. And you're also a full-time student, right?
Yes, I'm a full-time college student at Johns Hopkins studying pre-med and mechanical engineering.
Yeah, just because she's such a smarty. I know, it's so cool. I love it.
Wow.
I know, and you're a junior now, right?
Yes.
I love it. Well, Alicia, first of all, tell us, how do you make all this happen? This is incredible.
Yeah, honestly, a little bit of time management, a little bit of luck, and a lot of support from the people around me. My parents are great and they make a lot of this happen, as well as my barn family is amazing. I am a full-time student, so I would get done with class on Thursday, jump on a plane, we'd fire up the lights, someone would cook dinner, and then I'd get to ride and we'd get to get in as many lessons as possible and then back on the plane. And so just a lot of good communication, good support from people around me to make some crazy scheduling things work out.
Yeah, and you've been able to juggle it all, which is such a testament to yourself, but also it is possible. When I talk to students and they're like, oh, I'm not sure I can ride in college. I'm like, you can, but you really have to have a good support team, and you and your family, and they are wonderful. You've really figured it out. So tell us more about Aquamarine.
So Aqua is a 13-year-old gelding that he came to the U.S. last October from Denmark. He kind of came from a super special situation. He was somebody's really loved horse who unfortunately passed away. And I randomly we got to know each other, and a super talented Danish rider introduced him to me, and we kind of fell in love at first sight. And he had never done a CDI before I met him. He had been down center line twice. And so in a very short amount of time, I got to know him and things were great at home. And we put him on a trailer and said, all right, let's see what happens. And we had our first show problems, but he just tries so hard. He's the little engine that could. And as kind of we progressed in the season, he just got really confident in the arena, and sisters started to have fun and, oh, look what I can do. And stuff he'd never done in practice would come out like, hey, I can do this too. I was like, great. All right, let's take it.
What a fairy tale. I so want to hear about the Young Rider European Tour. How did that come about? How do you qualify for that? And what's like your most memorable moment of Europe?
Yeah, so the Young Rider European Tour was really a dream for me. I had heard of people going on it. And the way you qualify is through CDIs. Mm-hmm. And so you need a couple of CDIs in the Wellington season primarily, and then you get ranked with all the other young riders. And then in that ranking process, they take the top 3 riders from the US. And so this year it was myself, Kat, and Nash, and we get to go to Europe. The US team is really great. They set up a tour for you. And so for us, we got to go to Le Mans, France, and then we got to do our big show at Future Champions in Hagen. And then both Kat and I got to go compete at Aachen, which is an additional invitational.
Oh, tell us about Aachen. Like, I've been as a spectator. Tell us what it was like to ride that center line. Like, oh my gosh.
Aachen was the most amazing show I have ever been to, and I think will ever be to.
Yes.
This year was super special because Aachen, every year, since the show itself doesn't move, they pick a host country. And this year, the host country was the US, which was just a super thing to be a part of. Their opening ceremonies were amazing. They did a really, really fabulous job paying tribute to the United States and things that we all love. I mean, they had 12 eagles fly in from the stands and come and land in the arena. Oh. It was one of the most magical experiences. All the German people in the towns were waving the U.S. flags as we walked in. It was a really cool experience. And then there's nothing like walking to Deutsche Bank Stadium. There's nothing like it.
No,
I mean,
there's not.
The atmosphere, I've never felt an atmosphere. You walk in and people are watching and they know what's going on. They're such an educated crowd.
They will boo and gasp, right? When you make a mistake, they're like, and you're like, oh, shoot.
Yes, it was a really cool experience. I had a great ride in there, and a ride that was pretty good, but with a mistake. And it was so cool to just feel the energy of the crowd. When you're doing well, you can really feel them supporting you, and they want their athletes to do so well. And, what an experience for me to have as a young rider. I'm so lucky that I got to have that experience.
Mm-hmm. Oh, amazing. Amazing. And then you came back, right? You came back to the States, and then you went to Young Riders in Traverse City, right?
Yeah. So Young Riders is probably my favorite show of the year, just because I love seeing all of my friends there who I've gotten to meet over the years. And for me, a lot of the time, I don't have a lot of people my age competing with me, except for Traverse City, where the entire competition, there are people my age who share my stories. We all struggle with the same things of how do we balance school and riding, and how do we progress our careers in the riding world. So it's a really cool experience for me. And, Aqua has 3 weeks and he turned it around like a champ. He is a little powerhouse. We always joke because in person, he's not very big. He's about 16'1", and he's quite short.
He looks
but
way bigger. Yeah, he looks way
he looks
bigger under
really
saddle.
big.
Yeah, he does.
Under saddle, he looks massive. He really enjoys himself, and he has a blast out there. So he really looks quite big under saddle.
He does. He does. You're not very big either. You're tiny, but yeah, he looks massive. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. And so how did Young Riders go for you?
We had a couple really unfortunate mistakes. We were just a little bit out of sync, but I was really proud of some of the moments we had in the arena. I had probably the best freestyle I've ever had on him, which was super bittersweet for me because it was my last time riding a freestyle at the pre-St. George level, as that just doesn't exist in any open division. So for sure, there were some great moments, and we ended up with team gold, which was super cool because it was, thank you. But it was such a cool experience, especially to have my sister on that team. We're 2 years apart, so the way things have run, we're only on a team together for a year. So to be able to do a team gold with her and get up on that podium was super special.
I got chills when I saw you girls up there. I was so proud. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Yeah, it was really cool to see that. That was phenomenal. That was great. And then you turned around, right? Before school had already started before festival.
Yeah, so school started the day after festival for me. So I was super lucky. Yeah, I was super lucky this year. We started
the week of festival. Like we started that week early. So I thought, oh my gosh, is she doing both? Whew, glad that didn't happen.
No, very glad. And so festival is super cool for me to a little bit learn from some of my mistakes at NAYC and to really put down a couple solid tests. I was lucky enough to bring 2 horses. So I got to put down some amazing tests with Aqua and just have a really good last run at the Young Riders and get to enjoy that last moment before the U25.
I know. I can't believe it. You're graduating. That was so cool. And you won the Young Rider division at festival, which was amazing. So what a way to end, my friend.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So now tell us what's next. Obviously, you've started school. I hope you're taking a little break, and you and Aqua are taking a little break here.
Yeah. So we both had a little bit of a crazy summer. And so right now he's just getting to be a little bit of a horse again and run around. He has a lovely grass field. And then we will both start making our way to the U25 and figuring that out. I have so much respect for those riders. It is not as easy as it looks.
No, no, it is not.
No. So yeah,
it's basically the Grand Prix. So it's a big jump from Young Riders. It's a huge jump.
Yeah.
Right.
And so just putting all those things together, I'm super lucky in that Aqua tries really hard and he has a fun time doing it. And so as long as we can take our time and both of us continue to have a fun time learning and growing in our partnership, I'm excited to see where that'll take us.
Me too. So now it's going to the U25. That's kind of the next goal, right?
Yeah, I would love to. I'd take a year or two to really get up there, but get to have another experience at the U25, really at the international level and see what we can do at that level.
I love it. So great. I have a question for you. I mean, now that you've been through the whole junior and young rider process, if someone's listening to this interview, I mean, how would you give some advice to that maybe 14-year-old kiddo or maybe you at 14? Like, what would you tell somebody?
I think my biggest piece of advice is, I know it's hard. I lived in downtown Chicago. There wasn't really a great riding facility or a, super trainer within 20 minutes of my house. I lived in a high rise, but really find people who know what they're doing and who have done this successfully before. It is a really hard thing to do without having to worry about the paperwork and the qualifying procedures and some of just the strategy of it. So my biggest advice would be find a trainer who has done this before, read as much as you can on the rules, on the selection procedures, and ask other people for help. I mean, I know I am happy to help anybody who just needs to know a little bit more about the procedures and the scores. And I think that a lot of other people who have been here, who have done this, there's a lot of silly, tricky little rules that, exist for valid reasons, but shouldn't be the reason that you don't get to go to these championships. So just find a good support system, even if they're not with you, even if it's virtually.
Yeah. No, that's such a great thing. And I think you're so right. And that's what I was hoping you would say, because I know your story and I know, you were not in a great area. I mean, you literally live downtown Chicago. So I think that was so great and how you've been able to navigate the whole experience and, cap it off your young rider career going and doing the European tour. It was so cool to watch you do that. And girl, we just wish you all the success. And how can listeners find you online if they want to follow your journey?
Sure. So I have an Instagram. It's just called Alicia Dressage. I post on there pretty regularly. And if people want advice, especially on like the juniors, the young riders, NAYC, the European team, any of that, my DMs are totally open for that. I love getting to have a community, but also getting to help people in the same situation that I was in.
I love it. And one last question for you, because the college professor in me has to ask you this, like, give some advice to students. I mean, I am a firm believer that if you ride horses before college, you should, if it's all possible, keep a horse, because I think it keeps some balance in your life. But talk to students, like how do you do it? How do you keep that balance? Do you think it's important? All that good stuff.
I think for me, it's super important. I don't know where my life would be without dressage and horses, but I also really value education and going and pursuing higher education if that's what you want to do. And so I guess my best advice, besides being organized yourself, is try to have good communication with your professors. And, you know, at my school where that was a little bit challenging at times, don't be afraid to just be stubborn and go to the next person and just keep asking. Eventually, somebody will say yes, somebody will understand your story, and somebody will give you an opportunity to make things work. There's always a way. You just sometimes have to work really hard for it.
Yeah.
Super.
And from the professor aspect, you know, it's just send emails and stay on top. You know, professors are busy too, and they have a lot going on. But, you know, if I know a kid is up to something cool, I really try to make it happen for sure. So, Alicia, thank you so much. I so appreciate you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Megan, this is our last month of our first book for the USDF Book Club, and it is Debbie McDonald, Riding Through. And we're thrilled. This was a phenomenal book. We hope everyone gets to read it because, again, we're going to switch out for the last quarter. We have a new book coming. So we hope you've enjoyed this book. And if you haven't, grab a hold of it and we'll be able to discuss it in the next couple shows. Well, as always, you can find our show notes and links to today's guest on our page at horseradionetwork.com. Just search Dressage Radio Show. Like us on Facebook, just search Dressage Radio Show. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
And my website is lindenhoff.com, and my email is lindenhoffllc@gmail.com. We'd like to thank our friends and show sponsors, Kentucky Performance Products. And if you'd like to support our show and the Horse Radio Network, you can do that through the Auditor program found at horseradionetwork.com. Keep on kicking on until the next show. Talk to you soon.
And I look forward to seeing you guys at the Region 2 Championships. Please feel free to come and say hi. Look forward to meeting you.
Woohoo!